Hi, this is James Gordon here with the first book in the new book series I'm starting off this year. Mutants Amok by Mark Grant. This is the pen name. The author's real name is David Biscoff. Look at that sick cover. I love book covers like this. Alright. This was published by Avon Books, first published in March 1991. This is a post-apocalyptic action sci-fi horror series set in the dark future where the world's governments have abandoned nuclear weapons and have decided to use mutants, which are these genetic engineered beings that are made from a mixture of human and animal DNA, and they're built for the purpose of to fight the world leaders' wars for them, so that way humans don't have to fight battles anymore. However, the mutants turn against their masters, and now they're on a mission to exterminate the human race and take over the planet Earth for themselves, while a resistance group is attempting to stop the mutants and their psychopathic leader who is like hell-bent on killing destroying the human resistance and taking down his arch-enemy, Max Turkel. This was a lot of fun reading this. I had a blast reading this last night. This is not a long book. This is only 208 pages, so you could read this in a full sitting or two. As I was enjoying every moment of it, from the over-the-top action, violence, gore, to some good one-liners, dark humor in the mix, and the mutants themselves are the most grotesque, disgusting things I have ever read in a book. They are the most hideous creatures I have ever seen in a book, and I can only imagine if this book series got adapted into a film series, how grotesque and disturbing these mutants would have looked on the big screen. There were some things I didn't like with this book, but overall I had an absolute blast reading this, and I'm looking forward to reading more in the Mutants Amok series this summer. As this is a 5-book series, and I'll be reading these books each day to get this series wrapped up as summer's almost over, and I'm like, oh shit, I better get some book series going now before summer's over. So I had a lot of fun reading this, and I would highly recommend you check this series out. It is definitely a lot of fun. Alright, on to the review. Plot: set in the dark future where the world leaders have disbanded nukes since it would cause total annihilation. So in the year 2005, the world's armies have created mutants, engineered soldiers from mixing human DNA with animals to create a new breed of soldiers to fight wars for the humans. The mutants originated in South Africa. However, in 2017, the mutants have turned against their masters and begun a war to overthrow and exterminate the human race and reclaim the planet for their own. Their leader, Overlord Ignatius Charlemagne 75, hooked up to a supercomputer, is commanding his mutant army and is hell-bent on killing the human race. A resistance group, the Human Front, is fighting back against the mutants. Their best soldier, Max Turkel, a big, handsome, muscular man with long hair who is a skilled fighter and survivalist. He has been fighting the mutants for 20 years and is on the Overlord's most wanted list. During a mission to blow up an airport in Kansas, the mutants are however, the mission goes bad when half of his team is killed off, followed by another freedom fighter group slaughtered by the mutants. Max is in the middle of fighting a mutant and is wounded in the leg when his AK-47 jams. He's cornered as the large, ugly mutant is going to rip him apart with its powerful saw. Max rams his assault rifle into the mutant's throat, causing it to choke and collapse. Pulling out his combat knife, Max fights off another mutant and limps towards a plane. As the airport is burning away in the night, alarms go off with more mutants showing up in their armored vehicles they salvaged. Max increases the full power to the plane when a mutant orders him to stop. Max replies, "Fuck you, pal," before slicing the mutant to bloody pieces with the plane's propeller. The plane gains speed down the runway, but the mutants fire their machine guns, which damage the plane along with taking a few more hits. Max is able to get airborne but is in bad shape. He plans to reach North Dakota and return to the resistance base. Jack Bender, living in the thick forest with his girlfriend Jenny. They also live with other residents living in tree houses who are forced to work slave labor for the mutants. Brown 46, a ugly mutant with scales, works the humans hard and enjoys beating any who fail to live up to his demands. Jack's friend Phil Potts smuggles in illegal books for Jack to read. Despite the hard life, Jack enjoys living in the forest but wonders what it would be like to be truly free. While in the middle of planting seeds with his seed machine, Jack notices a plane flying low above the forest and crashes. He goes to check it and discovers the badly injured Max, helping him towards the treehouse as the two climb up together. Jack gives Max cigarettes and whiskey while he goes to find a medical book to try to help Max out while hiding him from the others, knowing they'll report him to their slave master Brown. Meanwhile, in the military base in Colorado, Ignatius Charlemagne 75 is told Max has escaped and the airport was destroyed by Brain General Turok. Ignatius is furious, a blob of mass with cables and other cybernetics hooked up to his disgusting fat body and gray brain and red and purple skin, looking like he's been swallowed by a metallic snake. He becomes so angry he tries to move forward, causing a cable to snap out of his back. Ignatius calls his royal chiropractors weasel-like mutants with big goggles to help them see. They repair the injured Ignatius, but one of them makes his pain worse. Ignatius grabs Dog, puts DMC with his cable arms, then stabs a claw into his spine and tears it out. Dog puts DMC, screams as blood splatters all over the floor along with organs spilling out. Ignatius warns Turok if he doesn't capture Max, he'll be dead. When Jack's girlfriend Jenny returns to their treehouse, she's a very young, cute-looking blonde woman. After hugging and kissing her, Jack asks Jenny to go get a bunch of medical supplies, lying that he's been thinking of stocking up after finding some extra storage space in their treehouse. Jenny goes off to get what Jack needs and brings back way more than he asked for. The two then have sex on the kitchen table as they both strip out of their clothes. But during the climax, Jack swears, which shocks Jenny as she asks him where he learned that foul language. Jack lies. Potts told him. While she enjoyed having sex with Jack but is a bit embarrassed by him swearing, since the mutants forbid swearing along with sex, but she has to return back to work. Jack takes the medical supplies over to Max. Jack is able to treat his wounds and remove the two bullets lodged inside of Max with no serious injuries. Once Max is able to move around, Jack takes him to the wrecked plane to inspect it. Jack offers to help Max repair his plane to allow him to return back to the human front base. Max is thankful for Jack's help, but doesn't like the fact he's fine being a slave to the mutants and tells Jack about his life as he too was a farm boy like him. Max grew up in California. He lost his parents to the mutants and forced him to work on the fields as a teenager. After asking if he could explore areas to find more untouched land to plant seeds, he was punished by his slave master and locked up for 3 days. This angered Max and began plotting his escape and started smuggling in supplies. He then met the resistance, who aided him and allowed him to escape and overthrow the mutants. He also tells Jack what this country used to be before the mutants took over and believes the resistance will overthrow them and reclaim their planet. Jack realizes that Max is right and has been keeping his head down for too long, but isn't brave enough to fight the mutants himself. While not interested in joining, he's still willing to help Max out. Later on that night, Jack and Jenny have sex again, which he doesn't last long. Max calls him up onto the treehouse. Max tells Jack he's gotten himself a real girlfriend, but could improve his sex life, annoying Jack a bit that Max was watching them. But Max gives his friends some really spicy tips on how to be a real man in bed, which Jack returns, giving Jenny the best sex she's ever had. When asked, Jack lies that he read one of Potts' books. Both Jack and Max work together on getting the plane fully repaired, and Max even shows him how to fly it while still trying to convince him to leave this place and join the resistance. Jack is finding this difficult as Max has become sort of a big brother to him, something he's never had. As the plane is getting near completion, he starts to feel a lump in his throat, knowing Max will be leaving soon. Back in Colorado, Turok is having no luck finding Max Turkel, with Ignatius losing his patience. Turok tries to keep Ignatius happy by showing him plans for a new breed of mutants that can self-reproduce themselves, along with creating better, stronger, and more deadlier mutants to fully replace humans. However, there's a problem. The mutants need human DNA, and they can only get it from using females. After dropping a model that Ignatius brought out, along with sneezing all over him, Ignatius comes close to killing Turok, but spares him because he's useful. Turok has sent out a request from mutant slave masters on their female slaves for the perfect female to breed mutants, and Brown has picked Jenny to be their next brood mother. After testing out the plane, Jack and Max have an argument about escaping this life and truly being free, while Jack is fine with his life. Then Potts comes running in and alerts both of them that the mutants have taken Jenny to their labs. Max knows Jenny won't come back alive, and they must hurry to rescue her. Despite Jack wanting to do it alone, Max refuses to leave him, stating he owes him for saving his life and repairing his plane. He can't bear it to allow those mutants to put their filthy hands all over a pretty girl like Jenny. Potts knows where the lab is. Together they go to rescue Jenny, with Jack realizing the threat the mutants pose to the human race. However, Jack's life is about to get worse when he is thrown out of the frying pan into the fire, and for once must fight back against the mutants and aid the resistance to free the human race from the iron grip of Ignatius Charlemagne 75 and stop him from creating a new breed of mutants. Mutants Amok was a short yet action-packed thrill ride set in the dark, brutal world where there is no mercy. There is a lot of carnage within this novel, as the high amounts of violence and gore increases the further it goes, with intense shootouts. Lots of good scenery of this dark post-apocalyptic world, from the ruins of the old world to the military bases the mutants have taken over, to the tree houses. I really like the scenery in Mutants Amok. The cast of characters were both fun and dark. Max Turkel, a big muscular man, is a badass rebel who is fearless along with cracking jokes. He was a fun character to read, as he reminds me a lot of 80s and 90s action heroes. Jack Bender, a farmer who doesn't mind being a slave to the mutants, but when Max comes into his life, he begins to open his mind and realize how bad his life is, along with bonding with Max, becoming a big brother to him. He was a bit of a pushover at the start, however, he begins to mature and becomes a rebel like Max. Phil Potts was a fun character, a big book nerd with several books he owns that Jack borrows a lot, becomes a very useful character in the novel. However, one character I felt wasn't explained too well at the start was Jenny. When she's first introduced, David doesn't describe her well until later on in the novel, as I found it odd why he chose to wait till later to explain what Jenny looked like rather than telling the reader when she first appears. However, Jenny was both a fun and useful character. As for the mutants, they were some of the most evilest, disturbing, and grossest looking characters I have ever read. Like something Rob Burton, Stan Wilson, and H.R. Giger would dream of if given an unlimited budget to create the most horrifying monsters ever seen on the big screen. The mutants are ruthless psychopaths who enjoy torturing and slaughter humans in the goriest ways you ever read. Not only that, but they're mean towards other mutants, showing no care or remorse for their actions. Their bodies constantly evolving, becoming more grotesque than before. Seeing the disturbing images of Ignatius Charlemagne 75 and Brain General Turox of their disgusting mutated bodies, along with the violence they cause towards both humans and other mutants, were two of the most darkest characters I have read. While the pacing was good, however, there were a few parts I felt was getting a bit slow, but when the action kicks in, it gets better and more gorier. There was even some good humor in the mix as well. Despite a few scenes I didn't like and felt it could have shown more, I still enjoyed this novel. Mutants Amok is like taking the best from the 80s and 90s action, sci-fi, horror, and post-apocalyptic films mixed with the strongest dose of drugs to make it so over the top and wild, with no barriers or limitations to hold back the mayhem, carnage, and action. Overall, I highly recommend Mutants Amok. If you want a high-octane men's adventure series with lots of action, violence, sex, gore, and mutants, then check out Mutants Amok. It will blow your mind away. Alright, that's for the review today. Hope you enjoy it. And like I said, I had a lot of fun reading the first book in the Mutants Amok series. It was just a lot of fun to read. Reading this just made me think of like all those like 80s and 90s like sci-fi action films and post-apocalyptic films all kind of mixed together, and just reading like the fun characters. I thought this is the kind of thing I like in a book series, when it's got an interesting setting and premise, you got fun characters, you got these dark, cruel villains that are hell-bent on world domination stuff, and the lengths they'll go to take over the world, and the challenges that the characters face. I enjoy this kind of stuff. This is the thing that I enjoy reading. So I'll start with what I really liked with this series. It's right from page one, it just throws you right into the fire with the action, where Max Turkel is like limping his way out of a burning airport in Kansas while fighting a bunch of mutants, and during the beginning his AK-47 jams and he rams his assault rifle into the mutant's throat to get around him, and then pulls out a common knife and just begins fighting his way until he gets outside into and finds a plane, and then he uses it to his escape. And then one of the most humorous scenes, a mutant stands in front of him and orders him to stop, and I was like, are you expecting him to stop? No. Max just increases the engine power and basically slices through the mutant with the propeller blade while getting blood splattered over the plane as he escapes. I was like, hell yeah, this is off to a damn good start. And then we're introduced to the second character, Jack Bender, who is like this kind of like laid back, chill guy. He's being forced to work on the farm out in the forest by his slave master Brown, and while life is hard, he is fine with it. He's got a nice treehouse he lives in. He's his friend Phil Potts smuggles in books and other things for him to enjoy, and he's also got this cute girlfriend. So he, despite all the shit this guy's going through, he's still enjoying the good life. And then, of course, when he meets Max Turkel, so Jack does his best to hide Max Turkel from the residents, knowing they will report him to their mutant slave master, and it doesn't want to face punishment himself, so he hides him. And while doing so, he does his best to help Jack heal from his wounds after barely escaping the airport alive and stuff, and at the same time help him repair his plane. And over time, these two characters begin to bond with each other. Max becomes like sort of a big brother to Jack, who he never knew his real parents, and Max kind of fills in that big brother that he's kind of always wanted, and these two start to bond with each other. And then, of course, Max is teaching Jack new tricks for him to learn and stuff, especially helping him improve his sex life with Jenny, which is really hilarious. As this one part in the book where Jack is getting on with his girlfriend, and he like instantly gets like exhausted, and she's like, "Oh, that was fun," and Jack's like, "Oh, I could do better." And then Max calls him up to the trio and says, "Hey, you're doing okay, but let me show you some tricks I can show you to really get you going with your girlfriend and stuff." And I just found this scene humorous and funny, despite the fact the author is using terms I don't like. Love making, I hate that term. It's the PG way of saying sex, and then and during the one part in the book where Jack is getting off his girlfriend, the author describes her wearing this blouse, and then like grouping her buttocks. I thought, these words sound familiar. Where have I read these before? Oh yes, from the many Richard Lehman novels I read. So I was not a fan of these words, but the sex scenes were both good, so I thought at least they were entertaining. They're not, at least they weren't cringeworthy. I just hated how the author kept using the term lovemaking a lot. I hate that term, but anyway. So, as the Jack and Max begin to get to know each other more, Max is trying to get Jack to open his mind to turn against the mutant slave master and to join the resistance to help aid in the battle to overthrow them, so Earth can finally be reclaimed by the humans again. And Jack is kind of a bit of a pushover. He doesn't want to get involved. He just likes how his life is, and but over time he begins to realize that Max has a point, and he's kind of being a pushover about it, and he realizes that he's not brave enough to fight against the mutants. And it isn't until later on in the book when Jenny gets kidnapped and finds the courage to fight back against the mutants with Max on his side, and then his friend Podge joins them. During this part towards the end of the book, Jack really begins to mature and becomes more of a badass like Max. So these were fun characters. I was really enjoying reading these characters, and I especially like Phil Potts, this big book nerd who's got all these books. And I'm like, I wonder what goodies he's got in this like treehouse of books. I was really curious what books he has. And there was another funny part where Jenny asks Potts for a specific book, and this caused him to become flustered. And this whole scene was just, I was laughing the whole time. I was like, this is good. So the main characters I really enjoyed. They're a lot of fun to read. And then when we're introduced to the mutant characters, these are some of the most disgusting, grotesque characters I have ever read in a book. Like, I read some hideous monsters and other creatures from other books, but the mutants in this series are the most disgusting things I have ever read. When I was reading these mutants, I was visualizing in my head what they would look like. I thought, I could just imagine Rob Burton, Stan Wilson, and H.R. Giger, if they were hired to create the most grotesque creatures you've ever seen on a big screen with an unlimited budget, these are the kind of things that they would create. These mutants are the most disgusting things I read. They are hideous. Their bodies are constantly evolving to becoming more grotesque than they were before. Their skin is shedding. They're growing like warts and all these other disgusting things on their body and stuff. Just reading these scenes, I was just like, ugh, this is just nasty. And then at one point in the book, it has one of the most grossest scenes I have ever read when the Brain General Turok sneezes all over Ignatius. And the amount of like snot that comes out of this mutant's nose and it covers Ignatius' face, it was like the grossest scene I've ever read. It's like, ah. And I was just visualizing my head, how gross would this be if this was to be recreated in a movie? But these two characters, Ignatius Charmaine 75 and Brain General Turok, are some of the most ruthless characters I read. They are very despicable. They are hellbent on world domination. They don't care if they have to kill their own to achieve it. They will do whatever it takes. And they are both ruthless in their actions on how to finding information on where like the resistance base is, especially trying to find Max Turkel, which Ignatius wants him badly. And there was another part in the book where Brain General engages in a chainsaw fight, which was a really cool scene earlier on in the book. And overall, like I was just having fun with this. I thought this has everything I want in an action book. You got a kick-ass main character. You got a chill, laid-back person who becomes the second main character, who later becomes a badass like Max Turkel, and you got these despicable, disgusting mutants that the humans are fighting against. Like, it just had all this like stuff that I really enjoy, and plus I liked, the scenery in the book too. You got the post-apocalyptic world of the old world, and then you got like the military bases that the mutants have taken over, and then you got the tree houses that are in the forest. Like, this book had a lot of nice scenery that I really enjoyed because it's very detailed. The pacing was good. There were some parts I felt it did get a little slow, but I overall enjoyed it. While the scenes of Max trying to convince Jack to join the Resistance were okay, but after a while he just keeps going on about it, and I was like, okay, you can stop now. I get the idea with this scene. You can just move on already. I also felt that Brain General Turok does an absolute poor job trying to find Max throughout the book. Like, he doesn't like really try to find him. He's just like torturing other mutants. Have you seen where Max Turkel is? Where is he? And it's like, dude, this is not how you find him. Like, I was expecting him to like send mutants off like to like the different areas in the post-apocalyptic United States trying to find where Max Turkel is hiding. And I thought it would go that way, but it doesn't. I just felt that would have made it a little better, like having like these like mutant bounty hunters trying to find Max. That would have been interesting, or some like robots or machines are sent out to like try to find. That would have been cool too. There were some parts towards the end I didn't like, but overall I had a lot of fun reading this book. Like, I enjoyed every moment of it, and I was just, after I was done reading this, I was like, I'm definitely get started right away reading the second book in the series, and gradually read the other books this month. As this, I can tell this is just going to be a lot of fun reading this series. So overall, I highly recommend Mutants Amok if you want something that is different, over the top, violent, action-packed with lots of violence, gore, and sex. Then this is definitely the series to check out. Alright, that's for the review today. Hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel where I post book reviews, book hauls, and art fiction-related content. Until then, I'll catch you later.